25 years ago, we were introduced to a film where a male nurse named Gaylord Greg Focker met his fiancee Pam's parents. And then 4 years after that, we got to meet Greg's family, the Fockers. And 6 years later, we get some little ones in a third installment. But after 15 years, is this film really that bad? Well, not quite 110%. Prepare yourselves as bring to you a review of Little Fockers. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome again to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. I'm the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a review of the 2010 rom-com flick Little Fockers, released by Universal here in the US and Canada, and by Paramount internationally. Being the first film not to be produced internationally through DreamWorks, as it soon was kind of in a way some of their earlier attempts were absorbed into Paramount's library, while the rest got done by someone else. This is the third film in the Meet the Parents film series, or should I say, the Focker family series, and was directed by Paul Weitz, being the first film not to be directed by Jay Roach, who helmed its two predecessors. Robert DeNiro, Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson, Blythe Danner, Teri Polo, Dustin Hoffman, Barbra Streisand, and Thomas McCarthy reprised their roles from previous films, along with Jessica Alba, Laura Dern, Kevin Hart, and Harvey Keitel joining the cast. That's right. You better believe it, my friends, because this is really something. Please stand by. Okay, now the film was released on December 22nd, 2010, meaning that year marks the 15th anniversary of the film. I decided to review it early since I already have another film booked for this day, which I'll get to in a little bit. Well, after the first two films were successful, both DeNiro and Stiller received a remuneration of $20 million for their roles in this film, en route to a $100 million production budget. But however, this one was definitely heavily dissed by critics. Even though despite the previous one got mild to still negative response. If you haven't seen my reviews of the other two films, you can check out the Focker Family Trilogy. Well, I'm not calling it a trilogy anymore because there's a new one coming out, but I'll talk about that. I'll mention that in a little bit. You can check out the Focker Family series playlist by clicking on that in case you might have missed my reviews of Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers, or in case you might want to see them again. Okay, let's get started. 5 years after the events of the previous film, Greg and his wife Pam are preparing to celebrate the 5th birthday of their twins Samantha and Henry Focker, while planning to move to a new house. However, things go awry for Greg when his in-laws Jack and Dina Burns visit them. And Jack announces that he is looking for a successor as the head of the Burns family. Recently, Jack has been diagnosed with a heart condition and has become embittered by his daughter Debbie's divorce from her husband Bob. Their marriage was the social event of the first film, as you may know, and showed how he and Greg met for cheating on her with a nurse. Jack's original plan was to declare Bob as his successor, but he decides to pass the role of Greg, naming him the Godfucker. Yes, a little reference to The Godfather, which of course DeNiro appeared in the franchise. Despite Greg reluctantly accepting the role, Jack remains skeptical and begins to suspect Greg of infidelity when he sees him with drug representative Andy Garcia, and that's spelled A-N-D-I. Okay, not to be confused with a certain celebrity by that name, or should I say actor, you know what I'm saying? Who openly flirts with him. The presence of Sestingo, an erectile dysfunction drug that Greg promotes as a side job, also prompts Jack to think that he is no longer sexually attracted to Pam. Furthermore, he starts to doubt his ability to provide for his family when he is initially reluctant to send his children to a private school. During a medical conference promoting Sestingo, Greg meets Bob at a bar and he tells him of Jack's original intention to naming him the Bob Father as his successor. His relief and happiness with leaving Jack's family made Greg slightly uncomfortable. Meanwhile, Jack tries to convince Pam to consider divorcing Greg and renewing her relationship with her ex fiance Kevin Raleigh, whom Jack thinks is more financially and personally suitable for her. Eventually, following a confrontation with Jack at a clinic, Greg escapes to his and Pam's unfinished new house where Andy shows up. She tries to cheer him up with Chinese food and wine, but drinks too much and makes an extremely aggressive sexual advance with Greg after taking too many Sestingo pills. Jack, looking for Greg to apologize and bring him home, pulls up to the house and sees through the window what looks like Greg and Andy having sex. Although Greg is trying to rebuff Andy's advances. Disgusted, Jack leaves and tells Dina and Pam that he couldn't find him. Now for the final act and ending. As always, you know the procedure. You have 5 seconds to stop this video at once. Go to the description box below and fast forward to the time below. Now, of course, as always, if you've seen this movie already, please continue. Okay, you've been warned. Greg's parents, Bernie and Roz, rejoin the family the next day at the twins' birthday party. Enraged at Greg's apparent infidelity, Jack engages him in a physical fight despite Greg insisting that he was rejecting Andy. The fight ends with Jack having a heart attack and collapsing. Greg quickly takes charge of the situation, looking after Jack. As paramedics take him away, Jack quietly admits that he believes that Greg, after observing his carotid artery, sorry if I mispronounced that first word, remains stable while he proclaims his innocence. Impressed with his integrity and quick thinking, Jack approves of him to be the Greg Focker instead. Good one. 4 months later, on Christmas Day, Greg and Pam's parents celebrate the holidays with them in their new house. Greg's parents, being Jewish, give Jack a kippah as a present, informing him that they traced his family roots and discovered that he is part Jewish. Bernie informs Greg and Pam that he and Roz have sold their Miami home and are moving to Chicago, only 2 houses away from theirs. Jack and Dina decide that they will also move because they too want to be close to their grandchildren, although Greg and Pam try to wean their respective parents off the idea. In the end, Jack views YouTube vids of Greg publicly mocking him during a speech promoting Sestingo. End of story. So what did I think of Little Fockers? Well, I'm gonna say this is kind of underrated though, but I actually liked it. I mean, I liked it just about as much as Meet the Fockers was, but this didn't quite come close to holding a candle up to Meet the Parents. So, no way. But I will say it proved to be funny. It still had the pretty crazy hystericalness like we got in the first 2 films. While despite being dissed by critics, the film did, however, become a success, going on to make $310 million worldwide on its $100 million budget, though it made less than its predecessors. Please stand by. While it's way off from the $522 million the previous film made, it came close to the first one, just missing it by 20 million. Still, I have to admit, it is pretty funny and what have you. But anyway, it was just, yeah, really funny. Yeah. Maybe not the best, but it's okay and what have you. Despite this, critics were just terrible. It sits at a mere 9% on Rotten Tomatoes, saying as Starsight as it is heartbreakingly lazy, the film takes the top grossing trilogy to embarrassing new lows. Metacritic has a score of 27, and Audiences Poll by Cinema score gave it an average B-. On each of these three websites, it's the lowest rated film of Barbra Streisand to this date. Empire Film gave this 2 stars out of 5. In its conclusion, they say there are inevitably moments when Hoffman or Wilson get a laugh, but on the whole, it's the same again, but weaker with fewer good jokes. Well, that may be, but it did. But I still say it was funny in some ways. Not all of it. It got nominated for 3 Razzies. Jessica Alba won Worst Supporting Actress, being out Barbra Streisand. It also got nominated for Worst Screenplay, but lost. So, with everything said, Little Fockers, it may not be close to as good as the other two are, but it does have some hystericalness and what have you, and just so much craziness. I would recommend this if you're a hardcore completionist by giving this a one-time watch. If you're not suited with this film, stick with the other two. That's why I'm giving you my verdict for everything. So the story's fine, what have you. Again, it might not be great, and especially they got Paul Weitz, who most people would know from directing the original American Pie, to direct this. Yes. Of the cast, we have Robert De Niro back as Jack. He's still good and funny as always. But Ben Stiller really is more crazy as Greg. And we have Owen Wilson back as Kevin. Yeah, good. Dustin Hoffman as Barney and Barbra Streisand as Roz. They're both pretty good. I know we don't get to see much of them though, which that's kind of a bit of a downside I have with the film. We have Blythe Danner back as Dina and Teri Polo as Pam. They are good. We have Colin Baiocchi, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, as Henry, and Daisy Taha as Samantha. Yeah. We have Kevin Hart as Nurse Lewis, not a male nurse. Harvey Keitel plays the character of Randy Weir. We have Thomas McCarthy back as Dr. Bob. Yep. Yep. Crazy. And we have Laura Dern as Prudence, who we do see at the school. And Jessica Alba as Andy Garcia. I actually kind of liked her. Well, this wasn't really one of her best movies, though, but it's still fine, what have you. I'm serious. Now, also, they had more than just a new director. They also had a new composer. Randy Newman didn't return for this film score. They have Stephen Trask doing the score for this film. Yes. Because he had recently scored the award-winning film Dreamgirls, as well as the backup plan, which was actually released before this that same year. But anyway, yeah. So the score isn't completely bad. But even so, it still proved to be pretty funny. Also, despite not returning to direct, Jay Roach still, however, remains on board as a producer of the film. But Little Fockers, it may not come close to as crazy as the other two, but almost does. But it has some flaws, though. Now, just a few months ago, it was just revealed that the Focker family trilogy will now be a quadrilogy. As next November, we will be getting a fourth film, which will be entitled Focker-in-Law, which, of course, which this time will be directed by John Hamburg. DeNiro, Stiller, Wilson, Danner, and Polo will all return, along with a few new additions, including Ariana Grande. Yes. So, as I've said already, give Little Fockers a one-time watch only if you're a hardcore completionist. If you're not suited with it, then skip it and just stick with the other two. What did you think of Little Fockers? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, and click the bell icon for notifications and be a part of the Big D Nation. Continue to help support my channel, and you know the rest. And join me next time when I bring to you my Saturday morning TV log on the Tom and Jerry Show from 1975. So if you like this, check out my reviews of some of these other films. And if you like some Barbra Streisand, check out my review of her great film from the early 70s in What's Up, Doc? In the upper left-hand corner. Or if you want some Owen Wilson, check out my review for Wedding Crashers from 2005 in the upper right-hand corner. Or if you'd like another film that kind of got hated on a few years later, which is a sequel to a recent film that I just reviewed, check out my recent review of Daddy's Home 2 in the bottom left-hand corner. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe if you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc. Then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying see ya.